Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome to the microphone Rotimi Eyitayo. A round of applause for him.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. So, we've been here from morning till now, and I'm sure you've learned a lot, right? If you don't mind, and if you're not too tired, just put your hands together for everyone that come up stage, and then put your hands together for yourselves. All right, so while I just wait for the slides to come up, I have a very short time, I believe, and I'd just like to start by introducing myself. My name is Rotimi Eyitayo, and I do a lot of things, but one of the things I would like to stress out of what I do is I help to mold, I help to make, and I help to build people, organizations, and institutions into a place where they find their desired expression. And I do this through the use of coaching, mentoring, training, interventions available to me. I hope you can hear me. I'm trying to manage my voice. All right. So I'm here to speak about building a culture of excellence for school growth. I have an organization called Team Masters. We're a consulting company, and we have different platforms. We have a spelling bee competition, we have Face Your Fears, we have a magazine that just came out, and we have a monthly event across 7 states that we organize, a free event to build and to mold educators across the country. All right, so let's start. One of the things that you need to get to understand, either you're a school owner, school head, teacher, educator, whichever divide you find yourself, is that growth is as a result of what? I can't hear you. Growth is as a result of action. If there's anyone that desired to be at Edves today, it required action for you to be here. Yes or no? So you had to take action to get to this venue. And that's what growth is all about. Most of the time, by desire, we believe that growth will require you to have certain things, and that is what those things are as growth. Coming to a place like Edves is not growth. It is the action that leads to growth. Are we together? Attending trainings, seminars, conferences is not growth. Engaging the service of a mentor, engaging the service of a coach, engaging the service of a consultant is not growth. They are actions that lead to what? Growth. And the reason I'm stressing this, because of the few time that you have left here, is this: that if as educators and education professionals we put the cart before the horse, we will not have the desired result we are all looking for. If we pay and spend time, we make investment in the name so-called in building ourselves, there will still not be enough result if we do not understand what growth is all about. Growth is an outcome. Everybody say growth is an outcome. Say it like you mean it. Growth is always an outcome. So what it simply means is this: for growth to happen, something must happen before it happens. Are we together? And if growth is an outcome, therefore, we need to ask ourselves, if a school will grow, if an organization will grow, if an individual educator will grow, it means that the outcome of that educator is tied to something before that outcome. Are we together? And that thing that we want to talk about today is building a culture of excellence. Simply means that excellence is almost the prerequisite to having growth. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just have an engaging audience. I would like us to read this together after the count of 2. 1, 2. It says, growth is an eventual reality of what? Conditioned health. So if you're going to replace growth with another word, what do? You use the word health. In other words, the health of a school is what leads to the growth of the school. the health of an educator is what leads to what? The growth of the educator. Are we together? And now when I'm saying health, I'm not talking about your high blood pressure. I'm not talking about your cholesterol level. I'm not talking about your level of sugar or your blood count. Are we together? What I'm saying is the quality, the health status of our processes, of the things that we put in as an organization, as a school, is what eventually leads to the growth that we desire. So the growth equation simply means business health is equals to what? Business growth. Educators' health is equals to what? Now, I'm sure you would have thought I meant educators' growth. What it simply means is, in the real sense of it, and those who are into management consulting would truly agree with me, there is really no such thing called organization. Because most of us will always say that the organization, which is the school, the organization, which is your team or department, is different from us. No. A school is made up of educators, yes or yes? In other words, what it simply means is, if a school will grow, what we are truly saying is the organization is the educator, is the staff. The workforce of a school is actually the school. The building, the classrooms, the facility is just the form of the organization. Are we together? Your logo, your school bus, your website, they are just forms of expression. The real school is who? The educator. So if we're going to talk about building a culture of excellence, one of the things that comes to mind is, what does this really mean? It means that the growth of your school is tied to the growth of the staff at all levels. Now, if you have a school, I'm sure you know that there are different levels, right? Some people have the management level or senior management level. Some people have the mid-management level. And some people have the low level. Sometimes they don't call it management. They call it front line. They call it bottom line, whatever you want to call it. But the point we're trying to say is, if your school will grow, whether your school is a top school, is a graduating school, is an emerging school, it has to be that the staff, the workforce, must grow. Let's read this together. 1 to go. The success of a school is tied to the success of our people. So how do we build a culture of excellence? Follow me very quickly. To build a culture of excellence, we have to identify what culture truly means. It is said that culture is expressed as a way, a manner, a people do things, right? So therefore, if we're going to build culture of excellence, we must remember that culture in itself is very important, because culture sets the tone. The two speakers that spoke before me, they mentioned certain things about turnover of staff or turnover of parents. And one of the things I love people don't understand and they need to realize is that it is culture that people fall in love with. If you like your school, raise up your hand. Now, I'm sure most of us did that because it's just the right thing to do. Now, I don't need to find out the truth, by the way. Now, the reason you love your school or you like your school is not necessarily because of the money you're being paid. It's a factor that motivates you, but it is not the reason. If you love the school your child is in, it is not because of the name of the school. Some people say it's because of how they teach. It's not true. It is the culture that you fell in love with. Now, follow this. If anyone would not love a school, it simply means it is also the culture that will make you what? Fall out of love from that school. Are we together? I said, are we together? Good. So something that says is this. There is a DNA of attracting and keeping your workforce, your customers, which are parents, which is tied to what? Your culture. There's a lot that has to be said and has to be done about culture, that excellence is almost like the cement that you will use to ensure that every point in time, people are connected with you. Are we together? Now, excellence to some people has been defined as perfection. Now, that is a big myth and misconception. Excellence has nothing to do with perfection. In fact, I normally tell people this. When you say something is perfect, it means you can't improve upon it. But excellence is always considered as something that you can always do what? Improve upon. Yes or no? The first time you learned how to brush your teeth, was it the same way you brush your teeth now? It means you perfected the act of brushing over a period of what? So how is excellence formed? How is excellence formed? Excellence is formed through a positive culture. How is a positive culture created? Can I show you? The first thing is that the culture, for it to be created, your values starts with the culture. From your values, it leads to what? Practice. From your practice, you have what? Habits. From your habits, you have what? Culture. From your culture, you have what? Results. From your results, you have what? And from your reputation, you have what? Now, let's connect the dots. If you have a brand of a school, maybe it's Rotimi School or Rotimi International High School. Now, the reality of that high school is tied to the reputation it has. Yes or no? Now, based on the reputation, that reputation was created out of what? The result that Rotimi High School has. Are we together? The result that Rotimi High School has is tied to what? The culture in Rotimi High School. The way we behave when it's time for admission. The way we behave when it's time to correspond and communicate with people. The way we behave to our staff. Are we together? The way we behave to the children. Now, how did that culture come into place? Talk to me. We have what? A habit. How did that habit come into place? The things you practice as a result of the things you value. Now, when you check the number of weeks in a term, how many weeks? 13 weeks. 12, 13 weeks. Now, you can easily identify the things that you value in your school based on the things that you spend more time doing. Are we together? So what you value in a term translates to the practice in that term. What you practice over a period of time is habitual to the workforce in that school. What is habitual becomes what? Our culture. So when we look at everything that we are trying to do, one thing that must come into our minds is, how do I create this culture now that I understand what it is? Is time up? Okay, thank you. So I have 7 steps to creating culture, and I'll drop the mic. 1, you must define what the desired culture you have. Now, why did I say that? There's a temptation for you to look at a great school that you admire based on the results that they have, based on the form that they have, and you now decide to do what? Copy what they have. Everyone must understand that every school is unique. And so you must define your desired culture. You must assess your current culture. Where are we now? Number 3, identify help or hire help. Number 4, invest in building the brand. Number 5, make sure that there's a culture alignment. Now, this is where a lot of times people miss it. You can do a lot of work in defining your culture, building your culture, but once it does not align with your core values, you are wasting time. Your core value is actually what drives the reality of that culture, and of course, communicate it. How do you communicate it? You have what we call reinforcement. You communicate it in songs. You communicate it on your walls. You communicate it in your letterhead. You communicate it in every kind of thing that you do. You understand? And then what happens? Have fun and work as a team. Now, when the prof was saying something, he said that, okay, it wasn't the prof, I think it was the speaker before the prof. He said that most of us find out that as the children advance in education, joy is missing in education. And the reason joy is missing in education is because we don't work as a team and fun is out of school. The Fish philosophy says, be present for your people, engage the moment, play and catch fun. Now, if you do not understand, fun does not mean you are playing, doing things that are meaningless. It just says the quality of energy you bring to the process in your day-to-day activity as a school. That is almost the way for you to be able to create a redefinition of the culture. Now, why do we apply what we call copy and paste culture in Nigeria? The reason is because we see what is nice, we see what we like in other climes, in other countries, but you see, because we do not redefine who we are, so we say, let's outsource the school's happiness. So we use the outsourcing method by copying a curriculum of happy people into an unhappy school. And now copying a happy curriculum to an unhappy school, does that make it a happy school? Talk to me. It makes it a frustrated school. You know why? Heightened expectation plus same experience creates heightened frustration. Do we understand? So what it simply means is this, that the role and responsibility of you and I going forward, if we're going to build a culture of excellence in our schools today, is for us to make it a point of duty to define what happiness is in our school, to define what excellence is in our school. And what is excellence? 3 words. Excellence is looking our best, doing our best, and being our best. Can we say it together? Say it like you mean it. Looking our best, doing our best, and finally being our best. Now, looking at our best when we talk about the school environment, being our best when we talk about our attitude and approach, and then doing our best, the best possible that you can. Are we together? If your school is a 1 naira school, permit me to say this. If your school is a 1 naira school, there's a best of 1 naira, yes or no? Talk to me. There's a best of 1 naira, right? Now, the 1 naira school is expected to do its best at a 1 naira level, to look its best of a 1 naira level, and to be its best on a 1 naira level. Are we together? Because the future of schools, and I shared this some days ago, I think 2 days ago, the future of school is not actually distant from the past of schools. Let's put it this way. Many years ago in Nigeria, we transitioned from public schools to what? Private schools, yes or no? So we preferred private over public because of the gap that was created in the public schools, right? Now, the private school system somehow has also gotten into a situation where there's now what? A dichotomy. So it's now private against private, isn't it? Now, the reality of the future now is no more private versus public. It's not private versus private. It's now excellence versus average. Now, if an average school is a big school, is a popular school with expensive school fees, the future is saying that a smaller school with excellent quality school, with all the services as excellent, would defeat, would outshine, would make obsolete the brand that is popular with big buildings, with lots of school buses, with average experience. Are we together? That is also called technology, by the way. Because a lot of people think technology is gadgets. Is that so, Dimeji? Typewriter was technology, yes or no? Chalkboard was technology, yes or no? But you see, when we don't understand that, we would always think it's something that has to be adopted into the situation that we have before we can create the excellence that we have. As I bring this to a close, I'll say this. Excellence is not by chance. It's a deliberate effort. You and I have to commit to it. We have to be trained for it. We have to be mentored for it. We have to be groomed for it. And we have to be sold to it. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, sir.